How did you do it? How did you change your association like that?
I just started hanging around the new people, and I didn't like cut those people off completely where I said, you know, we're not going to be friends anymore. I would just gradually, like, you know, I'll still call them every once in a while. We'll catch up, but I won't like hang with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah, okay.
I had to tell someone because one of them asked me like, "What's going on? How come we're not hanging out anymore?" And I said, "Listen, it's just we're on different paths." You know what I'm saying? I said, "I'm
Yeah.
trying to go this way." And you're still in this direction. There's no offense to you, but if you need any help and you want to improve your lifestyle, if you want to improve your mindset, I'm like, let me know because I have no problem talking to you, helping you. Do you want to start a business? Like, what do you want to do?
Wow.
Because I said, honestly, I'm tired of it. You know, I said,
Mhm.
I've been going through stuff for a long time. And I said, it's very draining, emotionally draining. Hello.
Remi, what's going on?
How you doing?
It's so great to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Man, the one and
How are
only.
you?
I'm doing amazing. It's great to meet you finally.
It's
Man,
good to meet you too.
yeah, I'm super stoked to get to know you and hear your amazing journey that you've been through.
I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So our mutual homie is Big Robert. How do you know Big Robert?
I met Robert through this social media group called Alignable.
Okay.
Yeah, so he reached out to me through there, and then
Okay.
we got a chance to connect. And he was telling me about his podcast.
I tell Robert, man, he's got more connections than Verizon, man.
He
Yeah,
does. He does. He's like,
dude.
oh yeah, I know this person. I'm gonna connect you to. I'm like, wait, Robert, what? I'm like, hold on.
So okay, Remi, man, I'm so stoked. Okay, all right. So EQ Gangsters, what's up? I am in the house with Super Duper Remi. She is Let me read her bio here. So I'm gonna read my notes. So for my YouTube folks that are watching on YouTube, you see me looking away. I'm just reading the notes here for my podcasters. Just keep listening. So Remi has her own TV show. She's a celebrity correspondent. She has been on Forbes, Gossip, Yahoo Finance. She's got a background as a journalist, a TV, like I said before, TV host, podcaster, overachiever, and I love this one, hype girl. What? Who brings the good vibes? So I love it, Remi. I love it. So Remi, like that sounds so fascinating, kind of where you're at today. Can you tell us what has your emotional journey look like from Remi back in the day to Remi the rock star now?
So back in the day, I was a very angry person. um,
Really?
yes, I was a very angry person. I feel like I was a little bit unstable, but I think it was because of I was becoming a product of my own environment. I grew up on the west end of Providence, Rhode Island. And I grew up in a crazy neighborhood and grew up in a school where, you know, I had to fight a lot. I was being picked on a lot. So it just led me down a path of just being angry because I'm like, why is people picking on me because, you know, I didn't have the latest sneakers or, you know, just the latest anything because my mom really she didn't have it like that, but she did the best that she could,
Yeah.
being a single mother, right? So, but being in school was bad for me. It was horrible. So I grew up to be very, very angry.
And was that like from the jump, like elementary school, or that sort of middle school, high
It
school? When
was
did that?
like middle school, yeah, middle
Okay,
school.
okay,
And then by the time I reached high school, then I was basically like just still angry. You know, I was being bullied, but I wasn't the bully. But I would be the bully fighter, like, you know, getting into high school. And because I've seen that, I always seen bullies trying to bully like my friends, and I will always be the one to step in because it was wrong. But then I was also saying to myself, I'm like, Remi, you're taking your anger out on them instead of working on yourself. Um, And instead of taking things out the physical way, try to learn how to talk to people or try to help people a different type of way. So I
Got
had to
it.
get counseling for myself after a while, to figure out what was the root of the problem so that I'm able to be a better version of me, right?
Wow. And
Yeah.
and you started, okay, that's huge. So one, I'm so sorry you went through all that, right? I mean, just it is never fun. I had a bully just a couple times. I popped out of the womb kind of a big kid, so maybe fortunately, unfortunately, I didn't have to, I wasn't on the receiving end of a lot of bullying. There was a couple times, it was, a couple intense moments, but it
Mhm.
was definitely not the majority of the time. So I really empathize with people that got bullied a lot. Like that's life changing, being on
Yeah.
the receiving end of bullies. So I'm sorry that you went through that. So it sounds like maybe in high school, I don't know if it was high school or maybe afterwards, at what point did you make that decision, like, hey, I need to pump the brakes on all this anger, and I need to kind of figure out what's going on, and where it's connected to, and start working on myself. What time frame was that in your life that you made that decision?
It was about, I'll say senior year of high school when I spoke. I had an amazing teacher. So the school that I went to, it was called the Met High School, and we had the same teacher for all 4 years. There was only 15 people to a class, and I really enjoyed that because I was able to pay attention more. I wasn't around my bullies anymore. I was around positive people. So when you're in a school with this like 30 students and your teacher's going to pay attention to you, it's kind of hard to reach your teachers because they're so busy and they got to grade a bunch of papers and different things like that. Where in this high school, my teacher was able to pay attention to all of us. There was only 15 of us. And I was able to talk to him about my issues and talk to him about, what was happening because they become like family, right?
Mm.
So, I was able to get the help from him, and he was able to talk to me and say, hey, maybe you should start here, and gave me suggestions. And he tried to figure out what I liked. Like, do you like to read? What do you like to do to de-stress, or different things like of that nature? Same thing with my principal. My principal was amazing as well, so I got a lot of help from
Wow.
my high school, for
Wow.
sure.
And it sounds like that senior year is kind of when it really kicked in, and really you started.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, senior year for sure.
Okay.
But also things take time, so it doesn't go from you're angry to not angry in one day. It
That's
takes
right.
practice, it takes
That's right.
time, it takes patience.
That's right.
So
That's right.
after all of that, it took me a few years to get a handle on it. And even some days, I feel like I still have triggers, like I think
Right.
everybody else does, right? But I have control on it. So,
That's awesome. What was your relationship with your mom like?
oh, it's amazing.
That's
Even to
great.
this day, my relationship with my mother is amazing because I appreciate everything that she's did for me. So,
Yeah, that's right.
but it's not her fault. The things that happen outside of the household, what's happening in the street or in school, on fighting on your block or whatever.
That's right.
Those are things she can control. So it's not her fault.
That's right. 100%. But that's
Mhm.
great. So, and has your relationship with your mom always been close from the jump?
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I think it's so important to have, well, and then you even mentioned that, kind of something that helped kind of turn the corner for you was having that teacher in high, like, so like having, your mom, having that teacher, like, because some people don't have a supportive mom or supportive teacher, or,
No.
you know what I'm saying, somebody in our lives that can kind of help steer or guide or navigate some of those rough spots in life. So that's a blessing that you had that. What did you discover about yourself during that journey of going from angry Remi to okay, let me channel this, let me try to learn and grow from this experience? What did you learn about yourself?
I learned I need to be more patient with people. Also myself. I've learned about forgiveness. I've learned just how to de-stress. High school is definitely hard. It's always a fashion show. It's always a popularity show. It's always, you know what I mean? It's like, I
Right,
gotta had
right,
to get through had to get through those things.
right.
And then I said to myself, I was like, Remi, you gotta start working. Well, even I started working at 16 years old. There was a program um here in Rhode Island. So my first job was at a hospital where they delivered babies and things like that. So one of the things that I learned, I'm like, okay, I could take the bull by the horns and provide for myself, because I know my mom was already struggling, so I provided for myself. And that's why I say too, sometimes it's not all about the relationships with your mom sometimes, or your dad. We're all individual people, and even though you could have the greatest mom, you can have the greatest dad, but people are still gonna go where they want to go.
Yeah.
People are still gonna, you just never know, you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right, right.
So
Yeah,
I
for
just
sure.
learned to just, try to be as independent as possible. So and doing things that makes me happy. Like, okay, I was being picked on for not having the latest Jordans or whatever. So, I went to work at 16 so that I'm able to provide the things that I wanted to do.
So you grew up quick. I mean, that's no joke. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's great. That's awesome. So
Mhm.
so okay, so you said a few different things there. So you learned patience, forgiveness, and de-stress. So those are not small things. Those are some kind of,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Those are big things, because there are many people that are not patient with other people, right?
No. Oh yeah, no.
And
And
then
it's
for
hard.
100%. And then forgiveness. I know old people. I say old people like my age, right? Old school, like cool Modi old school, um, that still haven't forgiven certain people in their lives, right? And then I also know a lot of people that have a tough time with the de-stressing thing. So let me, if you don't mind, let me jump into each one of those. How did you develop a where you started to get more patient with people? How did you do that? How did you make that transition from being angry all the time to like, okay, I'm going to start being more patient with people? How did you do that?
My counselor helped me. So I had a counselor, and she sat down and gave me some steps that I can do, and she gave me some things to take home to practice. And I remember it being really hard because like I said, I used to go from 0 to 100. So yeah, it took a lot of it took a lot of practice, and it took a lot of slip ups, and it
So
was a hard journey.
I can only imagine, absolutely, especially when you had many years of getting bullied. I know for me, during some of my times where I've dealt with some very toxic people, it was very easy for my heart to get jaded and bitter.
Uh
And,
huh. Uh
and so
huh.
for you to be able to work through that stuff, so do you remember some of those steps or processes that your counselor kind of shared with you to help you become more patient with people?
No, I really don't remember that far back. That
Okay,
was
okay.
years back. That was almost 20 years ago.
Oh, so that was the counselor time. That was during your childhood too.
Yeah, that was my senior year of high school.
Oh, snap. Okay, well
That was
that's
almost 20 years ago. So I'm kind of
what.
showing my age a little bit.
you
You know
you
what I'm saying?
you don't look much more than 20 right now, Remy. I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh my goodness, 20
That
years
was so
ago.
many. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a long time ago.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
so now let's jump into the other one. How about forgiveness? How
Oh,
did
forgiveness was hard. I had to
how
go to church. I had to go to church for that one. I had to get
Okay.
baptized. I
Okay.
had to change my surroundings with people and have positive people around me and to speak that into me.
Mm,
Because if you don't have that around you, you're still going to be a product of your environment. So I had to
right.
switch the people that was around me up. The people that was around me, the females at the time, they were still doing their thing. They was out
Mhm.
there, having multiple children at a young age. It was out there just doing what they was doing. And I said, this is not something I want for myself. And also too, I'm the type of person that will look at other people's situations and be like, oh yeah, that's not something I want. So I'm gonna go this way.
Mm,
Same thing with my mom's situation. I'm like, yeah, my mom went through this in life, so I'm gonna go that way. And I just take all those experiences on top of what I was being told by the positive people in my life, and just went a different path, because I was like, oh hell no. I was like, wait a minute, what? No.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So again, you said another big thing that is not easy. So you know, like, and I agree with you 100%, like the power of changing your environment and your homies, right? When
Yeah.
you know, you change your homies, you change the direction of your life. I've heard it said this before. I'm sure you've heard this a bunch of times too. You will be at in life based on the five people that you spend the most time with. I've
Hmm.
heard that a bunch of times, right? And that I mean, and I've even heard it from an income standpoint too, that your income will be within 20% of the five people you spend the most time with. So you talked about changing your association. That's not easy for people to do.
Mm-mm.
How did you do it? How did you change your association like that?
I just started hanging around the new people, and I didn't like cut those people off completely where I said, you know, we're not going to be friends anymore. I would just gradually like, you know, I'll still call them every once in a while. We'll catch up, but I won't like hang with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah, okay.
I had to tell someone because one of them asked me like, "What's going on? How come we're not hanging out anymore?" And I said, "Listen, it's just we're on different paths." You know what I'm saying? I said, "I'm
Yeah.
trying to go this way." And you're still in this direction. There's no offense to you, but if you need any help and you want to improve your lifestyle, if you want to improve your mindset, I'm like, let me know because I have no problem talking to you, helping you. Do you want to start a business? Like, what do you want to do?
Wow.
Because I said honestly, I'm tired of it. You know, I said
Mm,
I've been going through stuff for a long time, and I said it's very draining, emotionally draining.
right.
Um,
How they respond to that? How they
um,
respond?
they was mad at
Okay.
first,
Right,
and
right.
you know, I got a mean text message after the conversation, but I eventually got that apology. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
But and I was very understanding about it because when you have somebody that they feel is great in their corner or in their circle, they don't want to lose that person, you know? So they
Right.
have a right to feel angry that they don't want to be in their circle anymore, you know?
Right. That's right.
So I was very understanding. I let them say what they had to say. And I'm like, well, if that person's just angry, they'll come around, you know?
Yeah.
And she eventually came around. So
If I can ask you, what age were you when you had that conversation, Remi?
I was in college at this time. So
Okay,
I
okay.
was about 20, 21.
Okay. Because that takes guts, you know, to have that conversation with a friend, a homie, like, hey, you know, that took a lot of guts. You know, I know for me, I'm a recovering people pleaser addict. I was a people pleaser addict for most of my life.
Oh, yeah, same.
You know what I'm saying? And so I never had the guts to tell somebody, like, I would have been one of those. And again, I'm not proud to say this, but because I didn't have the courage or the intestinal fortitude to say what I really felt, but in a safe way, because I was a people pleaser addict, I was the guy who just ghosted and like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of ghost and kind of go out this other path. And if they said, hey, what's up? What's going on? No, but where you at? Oh, hey, bro, everything's fine, right? Because I didn't have the courage like you
Mhm.
did to like, hey, everything's not fine. And listen, I still love you, homie, but you're going this direction. I'm trying to go this direction. And again, like you said, hey, no offense to you, but I'm trying to make this decision, you know, better decisions or whatever, different decisions maybe. Like that took a lot of guts, Remi, at that
Yeah.
age. That's awesome.
And boundaries too. I'm just now learning. Like,
Girl,
I
oh, yes.
boundaries is a big thing because that comes with becoming a people pleaser is that you let anybody just do whatever, say whatever.
100%.
Um, and I don't even want to say my age, but it's like I'm just now learning boundaries like this year. And you know how many times I got stepped all over and people just doing the most because they knew that I wasn't going to go anywhere as a friend. They knew I was going to continue to people please. They knew I was going to continue to jump whenever people asked me. And I finally said to myself, enough is enough. Enough is
Boom.
enough. Like there's a lot of people that did a lot of shit to me and
Right.
they felt like I'm just going to apologize and she's going to forgive me and still be here until
Oh,
one day those same people that did something to me again this year, I completely was done with them. And this time there was no explanation. This
mm,
time there was I don't gotta need to tell you anything. I'm
right.
cutting you off because I'm cutting you off now. Because I
That's
gave you
right.
so many chances and people don't acknowledge the fact that they did this something wrong to you because you didn't set your boundaries. So they're like, it's not serious or whatever, but they know that you're like, yeah, whatever, it's not that serious because you're people pleasing again. So once I realized, I said, oh, well, hell no. It was just bad. This year was bad. This year was bad for me with people just overstepping their boundaries. And I had to cut a few people off and I got those apologies. And I was like, you know, I accept your apology, but that doesn't mean we're friends. We're not friends anymore, okay? I would love you from all the way over there. I hope you have a great life. You know what I'm saying? I hope that everything that you want works out for you, but me and you cannot coexist together anymore.
That's right.
You're not going to use me anymore. You're not going to abuse me anymore. It's over.
That's right.
But it sucks because it happened now. I wish I would have learned that years ago.
100%, Remi. So I totally appreciate your openness and being vulnerable. So listen, I'm in the third quarter of my life. Like I'm legit. I grew up listening to Eric B and Rakim and Kool Mo D, like old school. And so like I literally just learned boundaries a couple years ago. I didn't even know what the word boundaries meant until a couple years ago. So I didn't have any boundaries personally or professionally, and I would let people run all over my boundary. Well, I didn't have any boundaries because I didn't even know about boundaries, and I would violate other people's boundaries because again, I had no concept. I was emotionally clueless. I had no awareness, and so I appreciate you kind of sharing your kind of experience and journey as well, and kind of where you're at. But you're right, as a people pleaser addict, I didn't have any boundaries back in the days because I was trying to please everybody, make everyone happy because I was seeking out my validation and value from everyone else around me, which is a terrible, brutal way to live. You know what I'm saying? So how did you? So this is great going. So I didn't know you had some people pleaser stuff background too, like me. How did you go from being a people pleaser into where you're like, okay, wait, this doesn't feel good or whatever. I need to start enforcing some boundaries. How did you make that transition? That's not an easy transition for people pleasers to make.
All right, so I'm just gonna keep it real, okay? I got invited to a industry party from a manager, a celebrity manager, and I told my sister-in-law about it, and she asked me if she could come. So I asked that person if she could come, and they said no, it can only be you and a camera person. So I told her, I actually screenshotted the conversation because again, I'm people pleasing, right? Even though I didn't have to explain nothing. I sent her a screenshot, sent it to her. I said, this is what she said. Look, she said only me and the camera person. Long story short, I traveled to New York to go do the event. And the next day I texted and I said, hey sis, well, how's it going? No response. About a week later, I get a text saying, the last time I checked in, I have a sister. So I'm like, oh, okay, like what's up with that? And I'm like, that's crazy. And then my husband, asked her, hey, what's going on with you and Remi? And she proceeded to say, F that B, she doesn't love you. She doesn't want to be with you. She's sleeping around. She's sleeping around with all these celebrities and tried to basically break up my 10-year relationship for whatever personal issues she had with me. To me, it was because she couldn't go to the industry party, right? And that really bothered me because, as we had a friendship for 10 years, that was actually one of my best friends. So it was so strange that I was like, I couldn't believe that person would do that to me. But then I said to myself, it makes sense because there was a lot of, then I'm not going to go back into obviously every situation, but there was a lot of situations where I allowed her to overstep her boundaries because I didn't want to her and her brother to argue, and I didn't want our friendship to end. So I will allow her to speak to me any type of way she wanted to. I allowed her to do so much shit to me. And this right here was the craziest betrayal that I ever experienced in my entire life. I'm like, I can't believe she tried to do that to me. Like me, out of all people, like someone that had her back with different things. It was just, I don't know, like it was the most craziest thing I ever experienced in my entire life. I couldn't believe that she did that to me, my best friend.
Right.
So after that happened, I was just like, no, Remi, like this has a part of it is your fault because you should have checked her from the gate, from the first problem that you dealt with her.
Right.
And once you keep letting people slide and slide and slide, they will always keep continue to do it, and they'll get worse and worse and worse. Technically, that person should have been cut off a long time ago. But when you love people, when you love your friends, you just, and you're a people pleaser, you just allow them to just skate.
That's right.
And that's the situation that I believe that God said, I had to put you in there in that scenario because you stopped letting people do that shit.
Right.
He was like, how many situations do I got to place you in? He said, now I'm going to put you in the worst possible situation where you could have almost lost your husband over a lie. You could have lost your career over someone trying to assassinate your character. You like, in order for you to set boundaries this year.
That's right. That's right.
So now here I am. And ever since then, it changed my whole entire life. Now I'm just like, yeah, no, you're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done.
Yes, that's right.
So guess what? I have like 2 good friends left. 2 of them.
Oh, snap. Yes.
Everybody got the clippers.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Well, and once you discover the beauty and the gift of no, it's like, oh snap, like the beauty of boundaries, right? Is like, oh snap, because I never realized how emotionally exhausting it was to be a people pleaser addict my whole life. I had no idea just how exhausting it is. And I've gone through kind of a similar journey of like, oh snap, okay, no, my opinions, thoughts, and perspectives matter. And no, I'm going to say, because I never used to say no. I would never say no. Same. It was always yes, yes, yeah. Even if it was like no sleep or I do bend over backward, it didn't matter. I would always say yes. And so when you kind of realize the power of boundaries, it's so, there's so many benefits and blessings, and that's so cool that you made and it's so neat too. So many lessons in what you just shared there, Remi, and I appreciate your vulnerability again and sharing that. Is what we think, what the enemy may have meant for negative, God uses for positive. Yeah. Right. He like how he used, like, oh, initially, like, man, why would my best friend do this? And then God's like, listen, McFly, the reason I allowed this is because you need some boundaries in your life, girl. You need some boundaries. And this is how I'm gonna, how I'm gonna allow your class to be in session in boundaries. This is, and how funny, right? That your friend was part of the lesson, right? Was part right. of, you know what I'm saying? So that's awesome that you are at that spot now to learn. Yeah. And the fact that you have kind of even brought it back. So there's a section in the Bible, John 15, 1-11. In fact, I got a whole bunch of, obviously you can see all my tattoos, but this one right here says abide, ABEIDE, right? Abide. John 15, 1-10. Jesus says in 10 verses, 10 times to abide. And a lot of times, again, coming from that people pleaser addict space, I would be coming from my own, I would not be abiding in God, right? I would be trying to perform and please everyone else around me. And now that finally I have done a lot of the pruning as well, like you said you've done, and purging of your kind of social circle and stuff, now I can do more abiding and less performing and pleasing.
Yes, that's right.
Does that make sense?
Also too, I was confiding more into my friends than I was confiding into God. And I think that's what happened too, because he's like, excuse me, like, yeah, no, you're talking too much. You're confiding in issues with people that can't even help you. You're actually supposed to be talking to me. I'm the only one that can help you. And those same people that I confided in try to take things that I said and twisted it all around and said things that I didn't say and made up stories and what, because of something that I told them, and they took it out of context or whatever. He's like, why are you talking to them anyway? What's wrong with you?
That's right. That's right. Yes. That's awesome.
So he's like, now I got to put you in a crazy position where you could possibly lose everything because you was talking to the wrong people. Why are you talking to them? They're not even talking to me.
That's right. That's right. That's fire. That's great, Remi. Okay, here's another one I love from this lesson you just shared with us is, okay, so this is great. So conflict and adversity reveals the emotional intelligence of all the people involved. Conflict and adversity reveals the emotional intelligence of everyone involved. So check this out. So you went through that conflict and you're like, oh, no. I'm done with this. I'm done. Right. So now it increased your awareness of like, okay, I need some boundaries in my life, right? Because God's trying to teach you this lesson. But through that conflict, it also revealed the emotional intelligence of that, that friend of yours who clearly, if someone, I would never do that to anybody, right? Even if you enforced a boundary. Now that I'm emotionally healthier, Remi, and you're like, hey, Noble, this is a boundary, I would be like, awesome, girl. I'm going to respect the snot out of that because you're my homie, right? I'm not going to hate on you because you express a boundary. I'm going to love you even more because you express a boundary, right? I want to, as a friend, as a homie, I want to honor and respect the boundaries of those people in my life, right? You know what I'm saying? But so, which is another clue. This is great too. It's another great insight is that you can assess somebody's, again, emotional intelligence, but also love of you by when you express a boundary, how do they respond to it?
Oh yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Right? Because if they love, respect, and honor that boundary that you share, they're on your team, right? But if they're like, oh, Remi, that's BS, man. Why don't you want to hang out, or why don't you want to do this or that? Well, okay, wait a second. Like, are we on the same? Are we on the same? Because vice versa, if they express a boundary, I'm assuming, right, that you would love, honor, and respect their boundary as well,
of
right?
Course.
So boundaries can reveal a lot about someone in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was
and
great.
I wish people would respect the boundaries the first time you tell them and not wait until, because I had another situation where I told someone about my boundary and they was basically arguing with me about my boundary and why I was wrong and I'm immature and things like that. And I was like, no, it's not that I'm immature. This is what I feel. These are my morals. These are the things and I know that we're not going to have the same morals with different things. And I respect you if you have a different mindset. But what I'm going to say is if it's hurting me this bad to where I have to tell you and you're still arguing with me about it, then let's just please go our separate ways. That's just how I feel about it. And of course, like I said, I always end up getting apologies later on, like, oh man, I was wrong. But sometimes by that time it's too late. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
And I don't want to be or sound, I hope that doesn't sound selfish, but at this point in time in my life, I have to make sure my mental health is good.
Right.
And I can't have people around me that's not respecting how I feel my feelings. It's one thing to say, you know what, I respect your feelings. I just don't agree with it. Can we agree to disagree? I'm fine with that. But when you're arguing me and telling me I'm immature and different things like that, and just like your feelings is not valid, then I just want to go this way.
That's right. 100%. Love it, Remi. That's great. That's great. That's great. Okay, so I've got a question. I got a friend of mine. He's in a different. He's also in the celebrity space, but in a different arena. So one of my college classmates is a writer in Hollywood. He writes big TV shows and stuff like that. And in fact, he just one of his shows that just came out. I haven't seen it yet, but The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the remake.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So my buddy he's one of the writers who wrote the remake on the Fresh
Awesome.
Prince of Bel-Air, and I asked him what his thoughts were. So he's worked with celebrities for, I don't know, 15, 20 years probably, maybe not that long, 10 to 15 years, I think. What has been your experience like in the celebrity space? How is the emotional health and the emotional intelligence in the celebrity space?
You mean as far as like interviews or?
Yeah, like,
Um,
with all the people that of the celebrities that and that kind of thing, like, do you feel like a lot of them are emotionally healthy? They're not emotionally healthy. They're emotionally
um,
intelligent, not emotionally intelligent. Like, what's your vibe?
I can't really tell, to be honest with you. I feel like when you go into that type of space, like for instance, like red carpet or interviews, a lot of the time people are either transparent or they're not. And I just sometimes I can't really tell because also when you're in the media or you're like a celebrity, you're trained to not give off that you're not
Oh,
that you don't have that. You know what I'm saying?
got
So
it.
to me, you
Yeah,
can't really tell. Like it's really rare for people to be all the way transparent. A lot of times everybody has a mask on.
got it. Oh, interesting.
That's what I've experienced, you know, and a
That
lot, and also too, what I've experienced is a lot of the celebrities. They went through a lot of BS with the media, where people putting out fake stories and different things. So when you have someone like me that's coming in, that's all about positive interviews or whatever the case is, by the time I get there, then they're already damaged because of the past things that they went through. So they don't give me that type of interview. You know what I mean?
they got their
Because they're
walls
so
up.
afraid that you're gonna twist their things up. And I
Right,
understand.
right.
I
Hundred
understand.
percent, hundred
So
percent.
even with me, I'm working on letting people know, what my show is all about. Like, I'm not about scandal. I don't care who used to date. I don't care why you and this person broke up. Let's talk about the things that you've done in a community. Let's talk about the positive impact that you had on people. Let's talk about stuff like that.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Um,
Oh, that's probably super refreshing for them.
yeah, it is. But sometimes they're still skeptical.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, to also be real, those same celebrities go to those same people because they have over 1 million views and stuff on their thing, and demographics is crazy, but they won't come to me if my demographic is lower than theirs. But you want positive interviews though. But you just said it,
Oh,
you're damaged from this person, but you went on this person because they have more views. Make it make sense. Lift up the people who have the lower demographics with your personality there, with your presence there. You know what I mean? So
right.
also too, it's kind of backwards
Right.
at the same time.
100%. Yeah, 100%. No,
Yeah.
that's a great insight. That's a great insight. And that's super fascinating. So that's awesome that you're able to be kind of that fresh perspective and that safe perspective for them to show a positive side versus the drama and the hype train and all that kind of stuff. That's great that you can kind of be that in that space, Remi. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Something that is fascinating too, that I think is probably, at least for my buddy who because he had his thoughts too, and he said dealing with actors and stuff, so he doesn't deal with like music industry and stuff like that. He deals with primarily actors, and he said the Hollywood environment is very emotionally unhealthy,
I
very
believe that.
emotionally. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because everything is about the image,
Yep.
right? And probably too in your celebrity space, right? I'm sure it's probably a big,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? It's probably a big image, and so he said it's vicious, man. He said it's brutal, the celebrity space, because in the acting and stuff, you know yeah, he said it's not a very emotionally healthy environment.
It's
um
not. And
yeah.
that's why too you see me here with my hoodie on and my hat on, because I'm trying to it shouldn't everything shouldn't be about image. I shouldn't have to come up to everything glammed up and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be comfortable in the skin I'm in. I'm gonna be, this is how I am. This is me. This is me in my environment. I'm at home. I'm chilling. I got pajamas on, and this is what I look like.
Love it. But so for me, one of my coaching clients, I do executive coaching and stuff with leaders. And there was I just had worked with a lady that I'm working with. She's one of my coaching clients. She's a big cheese leader in this company. And, you know, she was really open, kind of said some similar stuff. She has some insecurities, like probably many of us do have some insecurities. And I said, look, you know, you own all the aspects of how God made you. And I know it's not easy. It's easy to say, it's not easy to do all the time. But I think here's who I think is beautiful. I think who's beautiful, and this is just my 2 cents, right? But the people that are beautiful to me are the people that are comfortable in their own skin. I don't care if big, fat, small, skinny, whatever. If you are comfortable in your own skin, I don't know. That's I like being around people that are comfortable in their own skin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think that takes a lot of work to get to that spot.
Oh yeah, and self-love and being alone and just staying off of social media and working on self, work on that mental health, meditation. It's hard work because, well, no, I'm a slim girl. And I always hated being slim. I got picked on for being slim.
No way.
On top of that.
Wow.
And on top of now social media with everything, with all these big booties and,
right,
you know, women that have weight on them. And I'm over here skinny. I'm over here, though I don't look like them.
Right.
You know, so
right.
It's one of those things where I had to work on myself. And I said, wait a minute. You know, Remi, you're a slim girl, but you could bulk up a little bit, go to the gym, lift some heavy weights, you know, eat
right.
healthy, but you know, you could gain a little something.
So Remi, check this out though. Let me throw this out at you. I want to see how this hits you. But why can't you be a beautiful lady who's thin? Why do you have to get thick to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like here's what I was thinking, like, because my whole life, this is so funny that you said that, because my whole life, I've been trying to get skinny, and I'm like, oh, I can't be, I mean, attractive, and not that that's ever necessarily been my goal, but I can't be, let me just say that for the sake of the conversation, I can't be attractive unless I'm skinny, right? Well, why so you want to be thick, I'm trying to be thin, you know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we just like, hey, let me rock what I got, you rock what you got, and why can't we be beautiful with, you know what I'm saying, with the skin that we're in, you know what I mean?
Right. And I believe the reason why I felt like that too is because, you know, growing up, you know, guys didn't want to date me, and on top of social media, and I even had a guy tell me, no, you're too slim for me. You know, I had somebody tell me that. I went through a lot of stuff, right? So all those experiences led for me to be like, oh, I gotta gain weight, and I was obsessed with it. Until I realized, I said, Remi, you're beautiful, relax. Everybody is different. Everybody looks different. Everybody has different body types and shapes and sizes. And the people who love you will love you.
That's right.
And also too, my personal reason, not because that was my immature mindset when I was younger, but my mindset now for wanting to gain weight, I don't care if I'm thick or not, but my mindset of wanting to be a little bit bigger is because I like to look good in my clothes. You know, I want to feel good in what I'm wearing. Okay. And, you know, I want to feel like a woman and not, you know, I don't want to be bony. I don't mind being skinny, but I don't want to be bony. You know, I don't want to look sick. Right. So that's what, you know, that's my personal thing, you know?
Okay. No, that's good. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay. So you hit on another neat topic I want to just hit on real quick. So one thing I talk about a lot is encouraging people to have an emotional fitness program, right? People say, okay, well, I want to be in shape. Okay, but you never work out. Well, for me, I'm saying the same thing with our emotional fitness, right? Because I'm in the EQ space, emotional intelligence and emotional health. How do you expect to be emotionally healthy, but you don't work out your emotions? So emotionally, you're overweight, but that's because you're not doing any emotional exercises, you know what I'm saying, to be emotionally healthy. So let me ask you, what does your emotional health or emotional fitness program look like? How do you take care of yourself?
I listen to meditation music at nighttime before I go to sleep. And it helps me a lot. It helps me to de-stress and get rid of any crazy thoughts that I had from the day, of just thinking about working and what am I doing next and emails. And it's good to de-stress so that I'm feeling good the next morning and feeling refreshed and feeling awake. Because if I'm thinking all night, overthinking, I'm sleeping past 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? Rather than if I'm de-stressing and winding my body down to relax, I can go to sleep at a decent hour, wake up at a decent hour, right? It helps me control my emotions for the day to where I'm not overtired and then I'm snapping on someone because I'm sleepy or hangry or, whatever.
Right.
It helps a lot. Meditation, breath work exercises help me through a lot. Taking those deep breaths for a second when things are going crazy, your phone won't stop ringing, someone's yapping in your ear. You just gotta, release all that out, because once you release that tension, your body starts feeling good, starts feeling relaxed and not so tense, because you can feel the tenseness in starting from your stomach or your back or your shoulders. I notice sometimes when I'm tense, my shoulders are up here. So then I'm like, oh, I feel that. I feel it in my back. So then I'm like, Remi, relax. I stop going like this to my shoulders, wiggling my arms a little bit. Because that tension is not a game.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's 100%. No, I totally agree. That's great. That's awesome. What has been something, Remi, that what's been one of the hardest things that you've had to overcome emotionally to be where you're at?
To take a self-care day.
Okay.
Listen, I was working so much, like I wasn't getting any sleep, waking up early, going to sleep at 4 or 5 in the morning, getting 3 hours of sleep, doing it again, right? So one day I was like, man, I'm not feeling good today. I was feeling nauseous. I was having digestive problems, to the point where I drank some water and I couldn't keep it up. And it was the weirdest thing. So I went to the hospital and they're like, your blood pressure is sky high. What's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. So after they gave me a bag of electrolytes, they're like, it's not really coming down that much. They're like, are you sleeping? And I'm like, not really. They're like, have you been drinking enough water? I'm like, lately I haven't been. I've been so occupied in Remi TV stuff and sending out emails. And I'm a one-band man. Like, I don't have a team. So after 9 bags later, my my blood pressure came way down to like, oh, you was very dehydrated.
Wow.
You're very tired. I fell asleep with the things in my arms like this.
Wow.
Sleep. And I didn't realize how much I needed that sleep.
Right.
And then when I woke up, it was amazing how I felt. I was like, I feel amazing. I feel like I could freaking lift this whole hospital up.
Right.
And I was like, wow, Remi. And that's when I said, Remi, you need to take some self-care days. You could have killed yourself. What if you would have had a heart attack or something, or died from dehydration or something?
That's right.
And from after that day of the hospital, I've been taking self-care days ever since. I would never do that to myself ever again. And that's also self-love. That's self-care. That's right. Helping your mental health. Yeah. Doing something for yourself to de-stress, to stop thinking about work for one day, watch a Netflix show, to watch a movie feels so good to me on those days. To just sit down and be like, wow, watching a freaking movie, I'm not doing nothing today. It feels amazing. Everybody should have a self-care day, especially when you're an entrepreneur, especially when you work a 9 to 5, you got a bunch of kids running around. And, even, yes. And there's no offense to wives or husbands, take a day away from them too.
Right. Yes.
Go do your nails, go get a haircut, go eat your favorite food, go eat at your favorite restaurant by your damn self.
Right. That's right.
I
love it. I love it. That's my wife. She recharges alone. And so sometimes I'll take my daughter, she's 14, and we'll go, I'll say, hey, amor, let's roll. We'll do a daddy-daughter date and do a little date night with my daughter, or go some hang time so that my wife can get some thinking time. Because my wife, right. She's got to be alone and she needs to kind of process and think and strategize and all that kind of stuff, get her thoughts organized. And that's how she kind of process. But that's awesome. So let me ask you, Remi, so how often do you have a day where you take care of yourself? How often is that? Once a week, once a month?
I was doing it once a week, but lately it's been a lot more. It's been like some days it's been maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, because I feel like I need to regroup. I need to just figure out what I want to do next. And I also had to realize because I was working so much that I was like, okay, I did this interview. Now I need the next one. Now I need the next one. That I'm, again, that's people pleasing. I'm doing it because I want people to, know that my show is still here and things like that. But I'm like,
Right.
they'll always be here. I'm not
That's right.
taking 3 months off. It's okay to take a week off. It's okay to regroup or rebrand or whatever you gotta do.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
I gotta stop people pleasing again. These are people you
Yes.
don't even know.
Right. That's right. Love it.
you
Well,
know?
something that I've realized, Remi, is, and this was me too, something that I've realized is so many people are successful for unhealthy reasons, right?
Yeah.
And that was me. I was quote unquote successful. I was, I went to West Point, and I was financially independent at my, my replaced my wife's income at 27, replaced my income at 30. So financially independent at 30 years old. And it was all because I was emotionally needy. I was
Mm.
emotionally codependent. I was toxic positivity. I was a people pleaser addict. So so if anyone else looking at me, oh man, you're financially dependent, 30 years old, you got no job because you're making all this money on the side, residual income, all this kind of stuff. For an outside, then they're like, I was like, oh yeah, man, check me out. You know what I'm saying? All because I was emotionally unhealthy and emotionally needy.
Mm.
But I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? So now that I'm emotionally healthy, now I can be, because me and my wife been entrepreneurs for almost 25 years. Now I can be an entrepreneur from an emotionally healthy place, not trying to please other people. Now I can honestly say my identity comes from Christ. Just for me, I love Jesus, right? My identity comes from Christ, and my behavior backs it up. So now I'm not trying to get
Mm.
validation from anyone else. My
Mhm.
validation and affirmation and worth comes from our relationship with the Lord, not from Frank and Susie and Bob and Mike and whatever. You know what I'm saying? It comes from who I am in Christ, and who He has made me to be. And I don't have to perform to please anybody other than the Lord, right? And
Oh
so,
yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I had to learn that too. I'm like, what am I doing? Because it's at the same time, God wants us to be happy, right? Another thing is, even though He wants us to be happy, we still have to remember we have a mission here to bring the souls to Him, to preach the word to other people. You know what I'm saying? And we can't forget about that. And I realize sometimes I'm like, I got so caught up in my work that some nights I would fall asleep without praying. And I will wake up so mad about it. Like, I'm so sorry, God. Like, I fell asleep. I was so tired. I did this and that. And it's like, I'm trying to balance both. I'm still learning that. I'm still learning how to balance both. I'm not there 100% there yet, but I talked to God about it. He knows. He knows.
That's
Because
right.
I told him, I said, listen, I'm struggling a little bit. Um, just help me. I said, whenever, if I forget or whatever, do something to remind me. And he always ends up doing something to remind me. I'll be scrolling and somebody will talk about God. And I'm like, oh, let me pray right now. Let me stop everything I'm doing and say thank you. Because if it wasn't
Yes.
for him, I wouldn't have none of these interviews. I wouldn't have had the show. He would never even give me the courage to even get there.
Yes.
So,
100%. I love that, Remi. That one of the quotes that stuck with me is, as especially, this is especially tempting for entrepreneurs, and I think also people in ministry. We get so busy doing the work of the Lord that we miss the Lord of the work.
mhm.
Right. And so I never want to get, because that was me too. As an entrepreneur, it was hustle. I was the hustle and grind 24/7,
Mhm.
365. And I wore that on a badge. Like, hey, check me out. I work harder than you, Rami. Check me out. Right. Is that like, why are you working so hard? Right. Well, you know what I'm saying? And so now I finally, I don't have that mindset anymore. Right now, no, I want to build my businesses and do what God's called me to do from a place of obedience to the Lord. Again, not from trying to please anybody, and that the destination, the goal is the journey. Right? Again,
Yeah.
it's the abide. It's, I want to
Mhm.
abide in you, Lord. Right? And okay, God, like, what can I learn about you from my entrepreneurial journey
Mm.
that you've called me to do? You know what I'm saying? And really use my entrepreneurial life and journey and businesses and stuff to discover more about God. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's what I want. I want that so bad because I'm like, I feel like we can have both. I feel like even though we're here on a mission, I'm like God still wants us to do what we want to do and be happy about it as long as we're not disobeying and acting a fool out here.
Right? That's
Because
right.
this body is just an avatar, our
That's
souls are in
right.
it.
That's
It's
right.
just a shell. So we're
Yes.
supposed to do what we're supposed to do right now. But I'm trying to balance both. I would love to do both.
Yes, that's right. Awesome. So Remi, how do we follow you? How do we find you? What's your website? Let us know. How do we
Okay.
connect?
So my website is remitvmedia.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Remi TV Official because somebody got Remi TV. Okay. And you can also follow me on YouTube at Remi TV.
Awesome. Remi, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to add value to our audience. Thank you for keeping it real. Thank you for being, just vulnerable and transparent with us and sharing some of your lessons learned, and how you've kind of how you've grown emotionally and kind of what your little bit of what your entrepreneurial journey is like. And thank you for sharing that conflict scenario too with us, kind of what happened and how you've really learned how to really make boundaries work for you. So thank you so much, Remi, for your time today.
And thank you for bringing me on the show. I appreciate it.